In my opinion, Zamasu is the worst main Dragon Ball villain we've seen so far. He's a character that looked very promising when he was first introduced. His motivation was new, and we'd never seen a villain who was a Kai before. That was a potentially interesting story, and I could already see the potential in him. But the more we saw of Zamasu, the more I realized that he was never going to live up to that potential. Zamasu's motivation revolves around wanting to kill all mortals because they're impure and evil, and it's how Zamasu views justice. He thinks it's his duty to kill humans. That's cool, that's a good motivation. But here's the question. How does that change how he interacts with the characters compared to other Dragon Ball villains? When Zamasu finally reveals himself as the straight-up villain of the arc, he just monologues, sneers, and gets angry. That's something Frieza did. That's something Cell did. That's something King Piccolo did. The problem with this is all three of those characters were actively malicious characters who didn't care if they were doing the right thing. Zamasu thinks he's the good guy, so why is he acting like any given knockoff villain from one of the Dragon Ball Z movies? Why isn't Zamasu talking about how he feels sorry for mortals and how he wants to put them out of their misery? That would be creepy. Having a guy talk about mercy while disintegrating innocent people. That would be a unique Dragon Ball villain. Instead, we have a sneering, boring, angsty teen version of Supreme Kai. And then we have this stupid goddamn mystery. Okay, so the main drive of the story in Dragon Ball Super's Goku Black arc is, who is Goku Black? It's basically the only thing really motivating the plot for the majority of the arc. He's revealed to be connected to Zamasu, but not exactly the same as him, and it's a big question as to how they're related. And the big reveal, after months of waiting, is he's Zamasu in Goku's body. Because he wished on the Super Dragon Balls to switch bodies with Goku. And the other Zamasu in his own body is Zamasu from a separate timeline, so he's working with himself to eradicate all mortal life. So there it is, that's it. And to be honest, it's a very, very unsatisfying conclusion to a mystery that is a really good idea in concept, but completely failed in execution. The problem lies with the Super Dragon Balls. They're magic balls that can basically do anything, and hinging a mystery on their use means that there is no real evidence or clues to put together. Kind of defeating the point of a mystery. It's also easy. He simply wishes for something he wants and he gets it. That's all. There's no rules, no limitations to them, and it destroys all sense of drama. And that's the problem with Zamasu and subsequently this whole arc. Every potential avenue for drama is almost always avoided. There's no tension, there's no stakes, the entire fight takes place in a world that's already fucked to oblivion because apparently nobody cleaned anything up after the androids were gone. The Mirror Universe world simply doesn't matter. Who gives a shit what happens to that world? And by the way, that's something that Toriyama knew as well. He didn't hinge the story on whether or not Trunks' world was going to be destroyed. He hinged the Cell arc on whether or not the world that we were following was going to get destroyed, because that's what we actually care about. One small way they could have improved on the story is holding off on killing future Bulma. Imagine our Vegeta meeting future Bulma, because he's never had the opportunity to do that before. He'd be shocked to see an old Bulma, for one. That's something he's eventually going to have to deal with due to the fact that she ages and he seems not to. And that would mean he'd directly have to deal with the idea of her mortality, something he's probably not considered much before now. Meanwhile, future Bulma would see the man that Vegeta could have become if he had survived in her world, a man who's much more compassionate and warm than Vegeta ever was when she knew him. After all that, Zamasu kills future Bulma. Well, holy shit, Vegeta would lose it, not to mention Trunks. He took on Beerus just for even threatening Bulma's life. Imagine how he'd react to seeing a version of Bulma die right in front of him. And, by the way, done by a guy with Goku's face. There's a whole bunch of psychological stuff you could go into there, but I won't. But that would have emotional stakes, that would have weight, that would significantly affect Vegeta's character. I don't expect Dragon Ball, of all things, to be deep. It is a kid's show still, but something, right? We didn't get any of this. We got a fight in a barren wasteland that simply is an exchange of blasts and punches until the next power-up that leads to more of the same. It's the ultimate example of every critique of Dragon Ball's plot. It's the Cell arc without the emotional stakes and character growth for Gohan. It's the Frieza arc without actually making you care about what happens to Planet Namek, and without the interesting character dynamics between the heroes and Frieza. Even the fusion of Zamasu ends up being worthless. No villain before has ever used fusion against the heroes. But it doesn't mean anything. He just looks like a "this isn't even my final form" version of Zamasu. Zamasu exemplifies the worst, most boring aspects of Dragon Ball stories and villains, and that's why he's the worst one, in my humble opinion. And yeah, thanks for watching. This video is sponsored by Loot Anime. I have sponsors now because I am a sellout who needs to eat food and stuff. If you sign up now with the promo code RPS, you get 10% off. You go to lootcrate.com/RPS to order stuff and use that promo code. You should do it. There's neat stuff in here, like this Naruto Shippuden ramen bowl. Don't microwave it. The sticker says not to microwave it, but you can put ramen in it. A weird anthropomorphic egg thing. Like it's soft. This plastic anime baby. This apron that's worn by the naked guy in Food Wars. There's also an exclusive Loot Crate keychain spoon thing that would be useful for people wanting to snort crack with it, but don't do that because I'm pretty sure that's not how they intended that to be used. And also a Japanese comic-y book thingy, I don't know what they call those, for girls with gross cooties. And yeah, thanks for watching. Feel free to subscribe and all that other YouTube bullshit stuff that everyone has to say, but I don't like saying. And talk to you later. That's the end of the video. Bye.